Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Lori Williams. Today I want to talk to you about the hard truth about healing. These are the truth that unfortunately a lot of people don't like to face, but you have to be able to face it in order to be able to move forward through the healing process. So essentially everyone says that they want healing, and it almost seems like a buzzword in today's day and age. But the truth of it is most people don't actually want to do the work that is involved in healing. It requires a lot of deep healing. It requires a lot of being able to really look at yourself in a non-judgmental way, but to also simultaneously call yourself out on your own BS. And be able to change these patterns and these habits, and essentially rewiring, excuse me, your brain into something that is healthy and releasing the conditioning that you have received throughout your lifetime. So, what is the very first truth about healing? Healing is going to be probably the most uncomfortable thing you've ever done in your life. Is it comfortable? Absolutely not. Is it worth it? Absolutely. It's not about self-care. It's like spa days. It's facing the pain. It's facing triggers. And the hard truth that you have been avoiding for, take your age. That's how many years you've probably been avoiding that have allowed you to be where you are. So if you're waiting for it to feel easy, you're probably going to be waiting forever. I think it gets a little bit more, I don't think it ever gets easier, but it gets more, you start to recognize the payoff on the other side of it. So even though you know it hurts, you know it's hard as you're going through it, you also know that on the other side of it, it's all going to be worth it. So you just keep like trudging through it. You keep going, you keep getting yourself through it. Another hard truth about healing is that it's going to cost you your old identity, who you think you are, who you have, you've been conditioned to be in our society is not actually who you are. When I talk about the authentic version of who you are, that's at a soul level, who you were created to be, who you've been put on this earth to be. It's usually very, very different than our conditioning, because our conditioning is based on how others wanted us to show up and how we had to show up based on the things that we went through in order to protect ourselves. So it's actually the complete opposite of all of those things. Our true authentic self is none of those things. So the patterns, the old excuses, the stories that you keep telling yourself, they're not going to survive. They're not going to withstand the healing. You've got to be able to let go of those old stories that you convinced yourself of in order to step into that authentic version of yourself. That's why so many people resist, because letting go of the wound feels like losing who they are. We become attached to the stories and the wounds that we have had to face. It's almost like we carry them as a badge of honor, and it really isn't a badge of honor by any means. Not that you cannot heal your wounds away. They're still going to be there, but when you drop the story of them, the victim story of them, they stop having any kind of weight or playing out in your life in any way, shape, or form. So it's definitely, our wounds are attached to our identity. Number 3, the third hardest truth I have to face about healing is that you don't get to bypass responsibility. And I see this so much in online spaces where people's like, oh, I'm spiritual and I'm just putting it on this person. And it's like, okay, well, where's your responsibility? Because everything that you think is going on outside of you is actually a reflection of what's inside of you. So that person that you're putting that blame and that shame onto, 100%, they may need to hold on to it. But what's your responsibility in it? Healing is not about recognizing what other people's responsibility is. That's up for them to take it. That's literally between them and their creator. Your job in healing is to take your own responsibility, and you don't get to bypass that, because you're not going to actually heal if you just keep blaming everybody else. The hard truth is that no one is coming to save you. That you've got to be your own, this is where you have to call yourself out on your own BS, but also at the same time be your biggest cheerleader. So it's a very beautiful process. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, though. Number 4, healing exposes the parts of you that sabotage your relationship, sabotage yourself, sabotage your experiences. You'll see how you avoid how avoidance shows up in your life, how blame shows up in your life, and you're going to look at your repeated cycles. So that awareness can really cut deep in realizing that it's like, wow, I've really been avoiding this, or I've been blaming everybody else and not taking responsibility for my own stuff on this. And being able to call yourself out with compassion, but still calling yourself out, and sometimes harshly, is very much needed in the healing process. The truth of it is you can't transform what you don't face. So you've got to just face it head on. And the fifth, and definitely not only part of what makes the hard truth about healing, is that healing is a choice that you have to make every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. It's not a one-time, like, one and done. It's not like a breakthrough of some sort. It's consistent. It's going to be uncomfortable, making decisions constantly that are consistent and uncomfortable, that rewire the way you show up in life. The results, essentially, of your healing and of the work that you have done only show up when your patterns align with your desire to change. So your patterns have to align with changing. If you're just going back on the old patterns, nothing is going to change. So the hard truth, healing isn't supposed to feel good. It's supposed to set you free. Comfort is going to keep you stuck, where the truth is going to set you free. And essentially, you get to decide at every point in the day which one you want to choose. Unfortunately, you can't choose both. So do you actually want to heal, or don't you? Which one are you choosing? Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here next time.